comic fans? Hope you guys are all doing well. It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 Geoff Johns best stories ever written. This is my opinion, and if you disagree, let me know down below. Let me know what your top 10 is. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Everyone's got different opinions. Everyone's got different tastes. So let's roll this intro and get things going. All right, real quick. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We post content daily, top 10s, upcoming comics, comic reviews, hardcover reviews. It's all here. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, give us that thumbs up too. It really helps us out a lot. We really appreciate it. Check out Dr. Squatch too. They're one of our sponsors. They're a soap subscription service. They will bring soap to your door once a month, however many times you want a month. And they have really cool scents. You're not just getting the regular stuff that you get at the stores. It's all chemical free, organic free, no parabens. And it's really great. They have cool scents. They got IPAs. They got Irish cream and whiskey, Bow Chicka Wow Wow. It's great. It's really good. Matt uses them, my channel partner, the other half of the hardcover comic, and he absolutely loves them. He also loves hardcover comics. And with our Patreon, link down in the description below, you will actually be able to win for as little as $1. You'll have the chance to win a hardcover comic. Last month, in March, it was Harleen. This month, it might be an omnibus. It might be an absolute. Depends how many Patreons we get and how things go. So check out the link down in the description below for more details on that. And now let's talk about the top 10 Geoff Johns storylines. Again, this is my opinion. You guys can disagree. You can have your own opinion. Just shout it out there. Let us know, and you know we'll make sure that you guys are heard, and of course we'll respect your opinion. But let's start things off. The tough thing with me for these is always the order, right? What order am I going to do this in? It's tough for me to decide 10 to 1, 1 to 10. Really tough to rank, especially when it comes to guys like Geoff Johns. So you're gonna have to forgive me if I just say 10 and I don't necessarily rank them. I may say which one is my top of all time, top 3 maybe, but let's start off with the 10th one on my list. This is just in general. It is his run on the Flash, a huge run, which is not unusual for Geoff Johns. On the character of the Flash, he wrote multiple characters as the Flash underneath the mask, of course. He also wrote Flashpoint, which was a huge event in the DC universe. His Flash run was fantastic. Geoff Johns is a guy that loves the DC Comics universe, and you could tell in the Flash that he respects the shit out of these characters. He writes some of the best rogues I've ever read in my life. I absolutely love the way Geoff Johns writes the rogues. And he had, of course, incredible artists helping him throughout his journey, most notably Scott Collins and Francis Manipool, working with him on The Flash. And it was a fantastic run with a lot of really great storylines that ran quite a while. It was one of the first things that I read from Geoff Johns. Of course, for those of you that are Omni fans, I don't have the books. We have been getting reprints lately, which are fantastic from what I've seen. Not like the first printings that we all had, but highly recommend checking out The Flash, especially if you're a fan of the character. It's great to see what Geoff Johns does with them. And, whenever Geoff Johns writes a book it's going to have a big impact on the DC universe. And The Flash was a great place to check that out. And if you're new to Geoff Johns, if you've never read a Geoff Johns book, I highly recommend checking out The Flash. Next up, another book I am patiently waiting for. I'm waiting for an absolute edition. Nothing's been announced, but I goddamn hope we get one, and that is Doomsday Clock, written by Geoff Johns with artwork by the sensational Gary Frank. I've spoken about this book a few times in our other videos. If you haven't seen any of those other videos, which is fine, I forgive you. Doomsday Clock is the story that merges the DC universe with Watchmen. It is sort of the storyline that was culminating since this whole rebirth thing started in 2016, and I think it was 2016, right? God, time flies, man. And, it got delayed, of course, which was its biggest flaw and its biggest fault. And the only reason it didn't get as much critical acclaim as it was supposed to and as much fan acclaim as it was supposed to, because it's a truly spectacular storyline. Essentially, the storyline is the characters of the DC universe trying to figure out what it is that's happening. Some of them have noticed particular changes in their lives. And it really focuses around Superman and the Watchmen characters, right? So Rorschach, Dr. Manhattan, you get to see the comedian in there. And you get introduced to new characters too. At least I think they're new. I've never seen Marionette and Mime, and they were spectacular characters to see. It's just great to see how Geoff Johns treats the DC universe, and basically they end up explaining why the DC universe is the way it is, and they actually Geoff Johns actually does a pretty good job of making sense of the whole fact that Superman's had like 10 origin stories, and how that actually can make sense in the DC universe. It's weird. You got to open your mind and be pretty open minded, but it's great. Geoff Johns' book is a book that's still being worked on, but it is Shazam. It's a character that he wrote in the New 52 as a backup special in each Justice League issue, and it resonated with people, a lot of people, because we've all been asking for a Shazam ongoing from Geoff Johns for a very long time. Unfortunately, he decided to take the project up when he was extremely busy, along with Doomsday Clock, and as we all experienced, I'm sure if anyone was following with Shazam, y'all experienced the delays, 2-3 months in between issues. It was rough. It was rough for a while, and of course with issue 13, Geoff Johns will be leaving the book. That will be his final issue, but thankfully we got 13 issues of it, including the work he did with Gary Frank in the New 52. So you get a new origin story for Shazam, Billy Bats, and the whole Marvel family, and you also get a nice little continuation here with 13 issues, which is really great. Geoff Johns, I think he introduces. I apologize. I don't know too much about Shazam, formerly known as Captain Marvel, but we get introduced to the Magic Lands in this book, which are these 7 lands basically, where they each had their own champion. These champions are all part of the Marvel family, essentially, the idea of it, or the Shazam family, whatever the hell it's called now. And they're all different. They're all themed differently. And in this story, we've had Black Adam, Mr. Mind, Dr. Mind, and Savannah, of course, really being the main antagonists. And then you've had Billy with his family members, similar to the movie, basically exploring these magic lands and trying to help their family. There are a lot of other twists and plot devices that are used within this series, which are fantastic. The artwork by Dale Eaglesham, Scott Collins is great. Dale Eaglesham especially. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Scott Collins issues. I think his artwork matched better with the Flash than it does with Shazam, but either way, I really enjoyed this. We've got 11 issues out so far. Geoff Johns' run will be over with number 13, but honestly, that combined with the other Shazam stuff he did, you've got let's round it out to like 16, 17 issues of Shazam by Geoff Johns, and it's really good. The storyline is fantastic. I've been really enjoying it. I can't wait to see how he finishes off his run. Another short Geoff Johns run, but a great story nonetheless, is his run on Booster Gold with the artist Dan Jurgens. Dan Jurgens wound up taking over the title both from a writing and an artwork standpoint once Geoff Johns left, but Geoff Johns really was the name required to take that title and let Dan Jurgens run with it. While his run was short-lived, it was fantastic. Of course, Booster Gold is the character who travels through time with Rip Hunter and Skeets, and essentially tries to make sure the timeline stays solid and it doesn't get messed up by all those other nefarious time travelers trying to mess up the sequence of activities and outcomes of situations within the DC universe. And Geoff Johns writes Booster Gold so damn well. He writes the interactions between Booster, Skeets, and then Rip Hunter is also fantastic. We get to see, of course, characters traveling through time, so you get to see different iterations of characters like Sinestro. You get to see him back in the Silver Age, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really great fun time, and of course, it's thanks to Geoff Johns that I think the series was able to sustain under Dan Jurgens following it. I might be wrong. Maybe it's just speculation, but if anything needs more attention, it is that whole entire volume 2 of Booster Gold. And Geoff Johns did a great thing to start it off. So I highly recommend checking out that. Aquaman. Arthur Curry, the character that did not get much love with the New 52, one of 2 runs series that Geoff Johns started writing on a month-to-month basis was Aquaman. And my God, is it good. We have the omnibus, of course, from DC Comics, released a few years ago. This was a tough omnibus to get out of DC Comics clause because they kept canceling it, man. It kept getting canceled over and over again, but I am so glad that we finally were able to get it in its beautiful oversized glory. Of course, written by Geoff Johns with artists like Ivan Reyes, Paul Pelletier. Wow, what a spectacular run. We get introduced to the Trench in here. We get to see Black Manta. We get the Throne of Atlantis storyline. Really fantastic stories in here, and I'm glad we got this omnibus. It's a revitalization of the Aquaman character. throwing aside all the jokes, if you're not convinced just by the fact that Geoff Johns wrote it, if that's not enough for you, just read issue 1. I promise you, issue 1 does everything to make you realize what a badass Aquaman is and why this run is definitely worth your time. It's really cool to see Aquaman interacting with Mera, and man, if there's ever a writer who's going to get you emotional, it's Geoff Johns. This is a great book for that too. Highly recommend checking out Aquaman. He's a character that doesn't get enough love, and this run deserves it. Be sure to check it out. Next up, a gigantic Geoff Johns run, JSA. Wow, I sold my Omnis. I really apologize. I had to sell them. It was a sad day for me, but I needed the money, and they were worth a lot. So the JSA run by Geoff Johns is spectacular. It, of course, takes a group of characters that many, many, many new readers have no clue about. We're talking about Jay Garrick, Alan Scott, Ted Grant, fantastic characters that have gone to the wayside over the years. With a fantastic ensemble of Golden Age characters, we get to see them in the past, in the present, and how their lives have changed and how their personalities have changed and how their attitudes towards superheroics and fighting people has changed. It's so damn good. I love the way the characters all bounce off of each other. I love the way their history comes back to haunt them in the present. I love the way things have changed and the way the DC Universe somehow enables these characters to continue being a part of the continuity even though decades have passed. Geoff Johns does some spectacular work with the JSA. We get to see a lot of great arcs with Black Adam and a lot of just great arcs with characters within the team sort of falling apart with each other and getting upset with each other and having problems with their own family, their own children, the legacy characters that have now taken over their roles and the way society has changed in general, right? We get to see a lot of great new characters get introduced, but really it's all about the oldies here. And I'm typically not a fan of old school stuff, but this was a great way to sort of bring that golden age vibe into the modern era, and I wish more comic books would do that. I really do. Of course, Geoff Johns was not the only person. I think David S. Goyer does quite a few issues with him at the start, and then James Robinson may have some issues here or there, but it's really fantastic. It's a different corner of the DC Universe, a little older corner, but it's a wonderful corner of the DC Universe that I highly recommend. There is nothing better than the issue where Ted Grant is by himself in the JSA headquarters taking a bath, and he needs to stop a whole bunch of supervillains trying to take things apart. It's phenomenal. I need those Omnis back, honestly, and it's great. It's great to see the return of Hawkman. Wonderful stuff, really wonderful. I highly recommend checking it out. All right, next up, I'd already mentioned this book a little bit before. We are still somehow not seeing Omnis for this, but we've seen one Omni. I lie. New 52, Geoff Johns' Justice League. Dope. Really great stuff. It starts off a little slow. It starts off a little weird, finicky. We're getting introduced to all these characters again. The Justice League is getting formed. We're getting minor little changes like Cyborg being in the Justice League now. Little things that you may not be used to. But wow, do things get great. I'd say after about the second story arc with the Throne of Atlantis and onward, things get real crazy. I personally enjoyed Trinity War. I loved Forever Evil. And I was ecstatic about Darkseid War. So, you get, again, this slow progression from better to better. Origins is a decent story. Some really cool moments there, like Aquaman calling up the sharks. Really, really fun moments in that arc. The second one is not very memorable. Stuff about souls being haunted, and Cheetah shows up once a little bit too. It was okay. It was fine. But yeah, after Throne of Atlantis, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I personally was a huge fan of Forever Evil. I thought it was really nicely done, and it was great to see the entire DC universe get thrown into this huge mess. It was a wonderful time. I really like Geoff Johns' Justice League. I'm hoping we get more Omnis aside from that Darkseid War one, which is a great book to pick up if you haven't already, with some phenomenal artwork by Jason Fabok. That dude, with Geoff Johns' Justice League, we're talking about artists like Jim Lee, Ivan Reyes, Jason Fabok, David Finch, top-notch talent. All right, now getting into the last bit of the Geoff Johns top 10, I have to talk about all of these these next three in a row, because it's all tied together in this beautiful, poetic, amazing, phenomenal, decade long run that Geoff Johns had, near decade long run on Green Lantern. I mean, it's one of those things where I almost wonder if there's a point in me talking about this series. I mean, I think everyone watching this video who has read anything by Geoff Johns has read this goddamn comic book and enjoyed the crap out of it. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know why. I'm really curious. But I mean, this is the epitome of modern day Green Lantern, right? From Green Lantern Rebirth, we get to see Hal Jordan step back in a big way. And throughout the course of the storyline, we start getting introduced to all the various spectrums, or emotions within the emotional spectrum of the Green Lantern universe. Beautifully done by Geoff Johns, seeing the origin of characters like Atrocitus, seeing Sinestro turn darker and darker. It's wonderful. It's so beautifully done with ridiculously good artists, Ethan Van Sciver, Doug Monkey, Ivan Reyes. Again, the top talent, Carlos Pacheco, the best of the best working on this book with Geoff Johns. And it spans these three massive omnis going all the way up until the New 52, where Geoff Johns wrote up until about issue number 20. And it's just a spectacular thing. I mean, I could tell you about the storylines, Sinestro Corps War, War of the Green Lanterns. I could do that, but you just need to read this run. It's truly one of the top 10 runs of all time, just because of the impact and the changes it had on the DC universe. It's an emotional journey filled with action that will keep you on the edge of your seat, making you fall in love and out of love with characters on the drop of a dime. It's so damn well done. Really well done. I wanted to use a different word there, but it's so damn well done. And these omnis, while they are gigantic, they're not the easiest thing to read. It is well worth looking into these if you're able to. And that's part one of this three-part finale for the Geoff Johns Top 10. Left volume 2 on the desk because I do not have the Blackest Night omnibus. I don't plan on getting it. I'm sorry. I don't need every single tie-in. I do love the storyline though, and the event. The Blackest Night event is, of course, the Black Hand has created the Black Lantern Corps, and they're zombies, man. They're zombies, and they start slowly taking over the DC universe. We see them in almost every title at a certain point, and it's also fantastic. We get to see the sort of the transformation of the Black Hand into this new dark sorcerer, almost. I mean, cosmic sorcerer. We get to see characters fall to the darkness. It's awesome. It's awesome. Really spectacular artwork. Of course, it's coming off the tail of Sinestro Corps War as well, and the DC universe is getting ravaged at this point, but Blackest Night was one of those events that I think will go down. I mean, a lot of people love that event. I personally absolutely love that event. And I thought Geoff Johns it was a brilliant idea, for one, and two, the execution of it was really great. There are a lot of great moments. The best thing about Geoff Johns' writing is he loves the characters and he understands the characters a lot. But man, that dialogue he writes sometimes, tremendous. I love Blackest Night. And that takes us into the third part of this three-part last top 10 titles by Geoff Johns. And that is none other than, I'm not going to do a cutaway here, guys. It is Brightest Day, another event that spawned out of the end of Blackest Night. Brightest Day is sort of controversial among folks. Again, because it's the last book does not mean it's number one on my list at all. It's a wonderful series. I did enjoy it, but it's definitely not my favorite Geoff Johns book of all time. But essentially, it's a lot of characters have come back now, right? Characters like Aquaman, Maxwell Lord, a lot of them have come back as a result of this whole Brightest Day thing that happened. Essentially, with the Black Lanterns, you also had to have White Lanterns. And these White Lanterns are all coming back. They're all trying to find their purpose. Why are they back? Again, this was a huge event, also spawning the DC universe. And we get to see all these characters and how they're coming back and how they're reacting to what's happened. And really, we're finding out what it is that these White Lanterns are all about. Again, a spectacular list of creators that worked with Geoff Johns on this. We have a lovely omnibus that can sit beautifully between your Blackest Night omnibus and your Volume 3 of Green Lantern. omnibus by Geoff Johns. It's really fantastic, and it really brings together this entire saga that Geoff Johns had been working on at the time, and I'm really glad DC did it. All we need is those Justice League omnis and a Superman omnibus. His run on Superman did not make the cut for me, guys. I apologize. If you enjoyed that run, let us know down below in the comments. But those are my 10 favorite Geoff Johns stories slash runs. Really, they're huge runs, right? If I did stories, I'd have to just focus on an arc, and it's tough with Geoff Johns because he crushes it on so many arcs. But let me know what your list is down below in the comments. Let me know what Geoff Johns run you'd love to see in a oversized hardcover format that we haven't seen yet. And thank you all very much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we post a new video. Be sure to check out our Patreon as well. For as little as $1, you'll have a chance to win a hardcover comic. It could be an omnibus, it could be an absolute edition, it could be a deluxe edition, a library edition. We never know what the future holds, and with the more patrons we have, the better, and the more and better books we can get. So be sure to check out that. There's a link down in the description below, and check out Dr. Squatch. They are a soap subscription service. They are one of our sponsors. With the link down in the description below, you will get free shipping month to month on your subscription. Just hit the link down below and subscribe, do whatever you want to do, make your own purchase through there, and you will get free shipping. So thank you all very much for tuning in. We appreciate the feedback, and we appreciate it. We're at 5K subscribers. Incredible. Never thought we'd get here, but we are here, and it's all thanks to you guys. You guys are the best, and we really appreciate you. So be sure to stay safe during these tough times, and until next time, as always, you stay classy, Internet.